Hey guys, Brian here, and I want to talk about something I saw in helping clients negotiate, particularly during the pandemic, that hurt candidates' careers: downleveling. So, what is downleveling? We had a client who got an offer at Facebook, and when she got the offer felt a little bit low given her years of experience. It was E3. And when we brought up the concern to her manager, the manager essentially said, "There's nothing I can do on my end right now, but I believe that we can get you to the higher level in 6 months." I remember at the time thinking, how could she show enough work to justify a promotion in 6 months, especially when she's starting brand new? But because she was coming from a startup and she was very excited to join, it was the middle of a pandemic, and so she accepted the offer at the level given after some compensation negotiation. Fast forward a year and a half, and she's still at the same level despite exceeding expectations in her role. And when she joined, everyone actually assumed that she was E4 when in reality she was E3. And so she's now actually leaving Facebook, and she regrets that she didn't negotiate level more aggressively when she had joined. So, how would I define downleveling? I would define it as when you receive a job offer for a level or seniority that is lower than what it should be based off of your experience or what you can contribute to the team you are joining. So at this stage now with Rora, we have seen enough negotiations where leveling has been increased, not because of some objective reassessment, but to close the candidate, that it's made me believe that it's a lot more negotiable and less objective than candidates realize. I want to be clear though that when you are interviewing, the company does intend to level you correctly. The unfortunate reality is that with a 1 hour interview, perception often has a greater impact than reality, so honest mistakes can happen. And let's face it, the company's assessment could be correct, and you could not be as good as you think you are. What I want to point out in this video, though, is that there are definitely cases where the company is wrong, and not enough candidates are aware that they should be having this conversation. And these situations most commonly occur when a candidate is going from a small company to a big company, or a candidate is changing industries. This is because companies like Facebook know that even at a lower level, the compensation they can give will still be better than what you're previously making. And so they start you at a lower level despite your background and experience being enough for that higher level. You're getting a higher salary, maybe working at a more prestigious company, and so you accept, even though your work experience or skill set should be paid more or have more influence in the company. This becomes especially impactful for women and minorities because they tend to have less tribal knowledge about the correct leveling. And since leveling dictates compensation and not the other way around, you can negotiate the very best compensation possible for your level and still be underpaid. And so it's because of downleveling that I believe these no negotiation policies at Silicon Valley will never actually solve the pay gap. Because when does not allowing someone to speak ever result in more fairness? The obvious reasons for negotiating level are automatic compensation increases. When you go to a new level, you automatically increase your compensation and every part of compensation, and faster career growth, so you're starting higher. But there are also some non-obvious reasons why negotiating level is important. The first one is that negotiating level gives you a much better picture into what the promotion process requires. Because ultimately, promotions require two things at a high level. One is exceeding expectations that your manager has, and two, your manager having the power and influence to support your promotion. And so by talking about leveling, what you're doing is getting a better picture of your manager's expectations. And two, by asking for it now, you are basically seeing your manager's ability to use his or her influence to support you, which is critical for any promotion. And then finally, when you're negotiating level, you're really testing your manager's investment in you. Managers actually all the time make hires that they are more invested in or less invested in. And, no one promotes, no matter how good of a job you do, if you don't have a manager that is invested in personally you. So, how do you negotiate a higher level? Well, the first thing you need to do is validate that the level that you've been given in an offer is not correct. And so, an important first step is to have conversations with teammates inside the company at the level you're currently at and at the level above you, so as to make sure and validate that the experience you have matches relative to the team. If you speak to both and you feel like you've done similar work, chances are you should be at that higher level. One of our clients got an offer at Walmart Labs, and when she got the offer, the recruiter was pretty insistent that the level was correct. And after she received the offer, she spoke to several engineers at her level and at the level above. And in those conversations and the projects being done, what they were working on, she had a very strong sense that her 8 years of work experience really were enough for her to be at that higher level. And so she escalated this concern with her manager, and it was really the manager that was able to push this through. It took about a month to process, but this not only resulted in a 20% increase in her compensation in terms of base, in terms of equity, in terms of annual bonus, but when we further negotiated, this also saves her many years in her career. And so, when it comes to leveling, sometimes a company is just between levels on their assessment. And given how much they need you, they're going to either give you an offer at the lower level or the higher level. And if you believe you aren't being leveled correctly, ask for more interviews, ask to give more signal. And sometimes it really is just as easy as doing some more interviews with more senior leaders and them giving you a thumbs up. Tactically, the biggest thing is just to be patient. Something like a level change will require, I would say, at least several weeks to process. And you almost always need multiple offers and buy-in from senior leadership. Recruiters really don't have an ability to assess level, right? That's not their job. And so you really want to focus how you negotiate here with your manager. And when you're, trying to figure out how to justify this leveling, focus on the mutual aligned thing of impact, and saying something like, I really want to have a major impact at this company, and I'm not sure I can do that at this level, or I'm not sure that my impact is being valued similarly to how the company is valuing it. If you try negotiating a level change and it's not approved, it does not mean that you shouldn't accept the offer. Successfully negotiating an up level is definitely not common. We have helped maybe 15 or so clients do this. And, on their side, your manager may want to give you the higher level, but he or she may be blocked by someone above him or her. Perhaps the role is budgeted for a specific level and no higher. Or maybe your manager doesn't even have the experience of negotiating level for him or herself. And so it may not actually be because your manager doesn't have good intentions. And ultimately, if there is no level change, I would still negotiate compensation. And what I really just make sure is that your manager has shown three things. The first is experience supporting his or her direct reports previously with promotions. The second is adequate time to invest and mentor and support his or her direct reports, weekly one-on-ones, etc. And then the third is making sure that your manager has the power and influence in the organization to push through things that he or she wants to do. So when you negotiate a higher level, there is a little bit of increased career risk because your manager does have higher expectations, but this doesn't happen in a way that would seriously jeopardize your employment. The reality is that it's much more common for employees to be stuck at levels without an ability to promote despite doing good work and then quitting because of it than for employees to get demoted because they're put at a level too high. And so I would always err on the side of negotiating a higher level first.